How many of you have been going with the unprovable assertion that God changed Saul's name to Paul after his conversion? The Bible does not record anywhere that Saul's name was changed to Paul after his conversion, as it is clearly written in the Bible that God changed Abraham's name to Abraham and changed Jacob's name to Israel. There is no place in the Bible that is recorded that Saul's name was changed to Paul. We need to know the Bible. The man was an Hebrew. His name in Hebrew is Saul, and that same name in Roman is Paul. As he was writing to the Gentiles who are familiar with the Roman language, he had to be using the language that they were familiar with. So you understand that his name in Hebrew is Saul, and his name in the Roman language is Paul. Like Luke wrote in Acts chapter 13 verse 9, he says Saul, who was also called Paul. That was his name. God did not change his name. For instance, you see that in Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14, Isaiah prophesied about the coming of Jesus and said his name will be called Emmanuel. And you see that Emmanuel there starts with I. Now coming to Matthew chapter 1 verse 23, when the fulfillment came, he said his name will be called Emmanuel. And that Emmanuel there starts with E, because the Hebrew translation is starting with I, as the Old Testament was written with the Hebrew language, and then the Greek transliteration of that same name, God with us, is starting with E. That's not a change of name, is simply transliteration or a particular language. Now let me bring it home. Let me use a common language that I'm familiar with. In Rivers State, Nigeria, we have a local government called Gokana and then Kana. Now, in Gokana, when they want to talk about God's power, they call it Bubari. In Kana, they call it Ekubari. So if you are writing somebody's name using Gokana now, there wouldn't be E at the beginning, Bubari. You want to write it with Kana now, there's going to be an E at the beginning, Ekubari. There is no difference. It's just language. In fact, take out Gokana, come to Kana now, which is a local government in Rivers. There are some that pronounce it Akubari, and there are some that pronounce it Ekubari. So when you are in a community that they pronounce it Akubari, you are writing with A at the beginning, and in a community that pronounces it Ekubari, you are beginning with E. There is no difference. It is only about language. God did not change Saul's name to Paul. It's just that Saul is the Hebrew pronunciation of his name, and Paul is the Roman pronunciation of his name.